Potter profile on Susan Bones. Susan is a half-blood, and her wizarding family were known to be rather powerful and was highly respected in the wizarding world. Due to her family's high status and the fact they welcomed muggles into their family, they became a target by Death Eaters in the First Wizarding War, and many members of the family were killed. Susan was born in 1980, a year before the war ended. When she turned 11, she received her Hogwarts acceptance letter and boarded the Hogwarts Express the same year as Harry Potter. She shared a boat with Seamus Finnegan and Hermione Granger. She was the third student to be called up by Professor McGonagall for the sorting ceremony, and was sorted into Hufflepuff. During her second year, she joined the Dueling Club, as the Chamber of Secrets had been opened. During the Dueling Club, she witnessed her friend, Justin Fletchley, almost attacked by a snake that appeared to be acting under Harry Potter's orders by communicating with the snake through Parseltongue. Because of this, Susan, along with Ernie, believed Harry was the heir of Slytherin. Susan did have a very good friendship with Hermione Granger. The two both had a crush on the new Defence Against the Dark Arts teacher, Gilderoy Lockhart, and sat next to each other in herbology potting mandrakes. It came to a real shock to her when Hermione was petrified. After this, Susan, Ernie and Hannah, and the other Hufflepuffs, knew Harry was not the heir of Slytherin, as they knew Harry would not harm one of his best friends. At the end of the year, Lockhart was revealed to be a fraud, and she lost all interest in him. Susan supported Cedric in the Triwizard Tournament. She was horrified by Cedric's death in the final task, and she attended the memorial feast at the end of the school year. In 1995, Hogwarts was under the watchful eye of the Minister and his personally appointed Defence Against the Dark Arts teacher Dolores Umbridge. Umbridge worked with Susan's art in the Ministry, and they both served on the court for Harry Potter's trial. As they were not learning how to defend themselves in Defence Against the Dark Arts lessons, the students were looking for a teacher, and as Harry, who had the best knowledge of defensive and offensive spells, Hermione Granger pledged the idea of forming an alliance to learn spells and rebel against Umbridge. This would be called Dumbledore's Army, which Susan became a member of. No. During the first meeting, Susan was curious to know whether Harry could produce a Corporal Patronus, as her aunt had told her about the court case. When Harry asked if she knew Madame Bones, Susan confirmed the family relationship. "My aunt said you could produce a fully Corporal Patronus. Is that true?" You don't know Madame Bones, do you?" "She's my auntie. I'm Susan Bones." Harry later gave lessons on Patronuses, but it is unknown whether Susan produced one or what form it took. Later on in the year, the Death Eaters who murdered her uncle Edgar and his family escaped from Azkaban, the wizarding prison, as many students questioned Susan for information about this. After the Death Eaters' escape, Susan told Harry that she understood how he felt, knowing that the person who had murdered his family was at large and consistently being asked questions about it. Harry finally had somebody who could almost relate to his state of mind. Susan was pestered throughout the year by students asking about her family and its murdered members, on top of dealing with questions about the murder of her family members. This year was also her OWL year at Hogwarts, which left her in even greater stress as she attempted to keep it all together and do well in her exams. Also, on at least one occasion, Vincent Crabbe and Gregory Goyle took it upon themselves to bully Susan, make fun of her aunt, and complaining that she was interfering with the Ministry of Magic's agenda. They went so far to take her wand, and Harry, Ron and Hermione had to come to her aid. The trio duelled the two Slytherins, defeating them and forcing them to leave Susan alone. Susan got her wand back and learned about the DA meeting in the Room of Requirement. At the end of the year, Susan was among the DA members who came to Harry's aid when he was attacked on the Hogwarts Express by Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle. Susan and her friends all unleashed a volley of curses which reduced the three to gigantic slugs. During the summer holidays before her 6th year at Hogwarts, one of Susan's last living relatives, and one of the greatest witches of her time, Amelia Bones, was personally murdered by Lord Voldemort in her own home. Though to her credit, she did not go without a fight. This caused Susan some distress and worry, as most of her family had been killed during the First Wizarding War, and now that the Second Wizarding War had been declared official, it was only a matter of time before the Death Eaters sought out after the remaining members of her family. Did you hear about her aunt? Poor Susan. Yes, it's awful. I didn't want to leave my family behind this summer. When Susan returned to Hogwarts, she was learning how to evaporate, and on one occasion splinched herself during one of the lessons, losing one of her legs. Her leg was successfully reattached, but the incident appeared to leave Susan somewhat shaken. Later on in the school year, Hogwarts fell under attack by Death Eaters. The DA members were called to arm via their coins, and despite the murder of her aunt, Susan did not show up for the battle. It is possible that since the DA meetings were no longer held, that Susan no longer carried her coin around with her and did not notice the call to arms message. Susan returned to Hogwarts for her 7th year, at which point the school was under the indirect control of Lord Voldemort. If she did not, she would have been a fugitive, since attendance was compulsory for children of magical families that year. Susan would have been in danger anyway, with her being a member of the Bones family, a wizarding family high on Voldemort's list to eliminate, as most of them supported Dumbledore and the Order of the Phoenix. She rejoined Dumbledore's army, which had been reformed in a protest against Snape and the Carrows, and fought in the Battle of Hogwarts alongside members of the DA and her professors. She was most likely in the Great Hall during the second half of the battle, and witnessed Harry Potter defeating Lord Voldemort, and therefore the end to the Second Wizarding War.